We're back.
Okay, here we go. So I got a funny question. I was thinking, in biblical times and even Indians and stuff and other countries and things, sometimes you get new names. In America,
Yeah.
normally the name you're born with, unless you change it or unless, you have a nickname or something, you always carry that same name. But so my question would be, what do you think your new name? I know we've nicknamed ourselves Ash and Soot, and some people are like, what and who? But I mean, normally,
That's right.
like in the biblical times and with the Indians and stuff, it was something pertaining to either something that you did, like, or your name meant something
Oh,
about who you
yes.
were. So, what What do you think?
I have no idea what my name should be. You can name me. You can rename.
I mean, and I'm thinking, because we watch a lot of westerns. And people would, and especially like we were watching 1883, and then we watched different shows and stuff, and it's like, they might name somebody or something. I'm going to call you,
Yes. What?
you know,
Walk Through the Woods. Schenectady was, I think, Path Through the Highway or the Woods by the Native American. And our Korean
Hammers.
children.
You would be Hammers with Nail or an army hammer. I don't know.
Have drill, will travel.
I don't know, because I mean, like with you, there's so many things you do. Because this lady here, remember when we were showing you? I think it was like probably it was either like last fall or early. Might have even been early this spring, where she had found all these little frames.
Oh,
and
yes.
She was working on them. Well, now she's found a home for them, stuff.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but she's constantly giving to people. She's constantly serving. So maybe yours is,
Servant.
yeah, but how, I mean,
Yes.
well, you don't want to say servant woman. I mean,
No.
you don't want to say, but
No,
I mean,
but
one
actually,
who gives herself. No, you don't want to say that either, because that means to a lot.
You put a
That
little-
could be a little.
That's a whole red light one. It's like,
Exactly.
But it's funny that you should say that, because we did a Bible study survey to find out what our, I do not want to go out and proselytize. I'm just not good at that. One of the things was my organizational. That was almost, I forget, I think it was like
Probably
administrative.
off the chart, right?
Administrative. And then the
Or
second.
was it off the chart or not?
It was.
Something-
That was
okay.
a high one. That was the
She's
25.
very organized. She's very good. I mean, I's are dotted, T's are crossed. She's very good with that.
Numbers and stuff. And the other one, the two that came up 25, and the other one was like a good shepherdess, or
Mm-hmm.
doing things, stewardship. My stewardship.
Mhm,
That was it. The one that I spent my whole life doing, teaching part, that was like down 2 or 3, which I thought
That's
was kind of
funny.
interesting. I thought it was, but I think the administrative stuff is the analytical, the science background type thing. So I don't know what you want to call me. My husband's uncle called me the school marm, so I don't know.
Well, it is. It's funny because I was thinking, Americans, we name our kids, and we sometimes, parents name something. Like I was not named originally. My mom named me after my cousins. And when I found that out, I mean, I thought I had this, when I asked the story of where did I get my name, she was like, it was her two of her nieces, and she named me for them. One of them was, and so I got Karen Denise. And I'm like,
Well, that's no fun. Well, I was supposed to
I
be.
mean, which is really nice because I love both my cousins, but I'm thinking,
Didn't I have one of my own?
I didn't even get an, I mean,
original one.
And see, they didn't even know what to name me in the hospital. So on the little card,
It's like no
on the
name.
little card, they gave me, my dad called me Cubby. Cubbie. Cubby. That was, I mean, it's my little card with all my baby stuff. Cubby. I was Cubby Barrow. I mean, so, it's,
I was supposed to be Celeste.
oh, but isn't Celeste?
Like
Yes.
Celestial?
Well, no, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking Celeste, yeah. No, wait a minute. There was
Heavenly?
No, well, none of that popped in my mind. I guess it could be. So, but yeah, I'll have to think about Celeste. Okay, because that one's coming to me. But yeah, as soon as you said it, I was like, wait a minute, I know that name. Hold on. But so then my dad nicknamed me K-Bell. And so, I mean, I always liked K-Bell. I mean, that was always his nickname for me, and it was like K-Bell. So I love K-Bell. And that, because to me, that's a fondness,
Mhm.
you know.
Yep.
And I know some kids get, they think their names are like, come here, you son of a gun, or whatever, it's like,
Hey,
yeah,
you.
or hey, you. So, but I mean, no, so K-Bell was, and Mama didn't, but so my name didn't even have anything to do, if you look up the names and the definitions, I can honestly say they did not pick my name because of any of those definitions.
My
It
name came
was,
after one grandfather and one grandmother. So there you go. Oh, two grandmothers and the grandfather.
well, we already had Chapel's name picked out
Oh.
because we were going to name after grandparents.
Mhm.
But then when Chapel was born, and my dad came in there and he was like, Karen and Bubba, he says, that is a little like Bubba. And so he wound up, instead of being William Thaddeus, and we were going to call him Tad, he wound up being Robert Chapel after his dad and grandpa and everything. But we were going to name him William Thaddeus because it was going to take in the two grandparents.
Yeah.
But Chapel now, if you know my son, he's not a William Thaddeus.
No,
He's a Chapel.
he's a Chapel.
And so,
He's-
names are important, because I think about when, when you tack a name on a kid, in which all of us have odd names. I mean, there's a name that's like, you named your son Hugo. Okay. I mean, it's like,
Like
there's
your
some...
last name is Duck and you called him Donald. There have been kids like that, or Daffy. I mean,
and see, and like my grandkids and all, they're laughing. They're like, we got such a long name, because Hawthorne is a long last name. So when they have to go write their name, so it's funny because we don't think about the child later.
and they're
And a lot of kids don't like their
like
names.
a man named Sue. Right?
Well, I was watching a show, and it was funny because the girl was going to go visit a college, and her name is Josephine. But when they put and they call her
Joseph.
Joey, but when they put her name on the form at college, because it was college weekend, they left off the E, and so it came Joseph.
So
they had put her with somebody called AJ, and so when they put, so she wound up in the boys' dorm, and because AJ was not, so I mean, they thought Josephine and AJ, the two together. So names are important, and like I said, your kids most of the time don't like the names they were given. Do you like your name?
I do.
Well, you are one in a million
I
in
mean,
so many ways.
I mean, I can't think of any other name. I don't think I would have liked Celeste.
You don't think so? You're not.
Do
really.
I look like a Celeste? All I can think
Celeste
of,
doesn't seem like somebody that would wear dirty
camouflage
pants.
pants.
that seems
No,
like
it's more like
that
somebody
would be
in
more
French,
or and have jewelry and be sitting around. And
No, see, a Celeste. No,
Celeste wouldn't be hog hunting.
not my moniker. Nope.
So what'd you say your middle name is?
Rose.
Rose. Joanne Rose.
Oh, I love that. I actually do like it.
Wait.
I'm kind of thorny sometimes. Some people have found that out too. It's like, ooh, she can be a little pointed. I was going to say something else, but I won't. It's those little thorns and things. But yes, that's kind of funny. Now our children from, adopted from Korean, their Korean names have meanings when they're named. And it's kind of interesting because they their personalities sort of did follow.
Really?
Yeah.
So when they named the child, is it named after like an act that they would do?
Like shining skill. It's sort of like, let's look at it this way, and I never thought about it until this great topic, is that maybe the name they give their child is one that they have hopes that child would develop into.
Okay.
It's sort of like a prayer in a name. I want you to have shining skill, therefore I'm going to name you with the words that represent shining skill.
So if I were going to name my next child, if I ever had one, it would have to be Elon Musk.
Sounds good to me.
Elon Musk Hardball.
Now you tell your son that. If he has another one, that's what he's got to be.
No, well, they won't, but they always name theirs ours.
I noticed that.
Everything is
Elon
ours.
Musk doesn't really sound the same.
Nope. No, it does not. No,
Nope.
it's.
But I mean, that's kind of cool to do that with children. But that's funny. Yeah. There was a thought that just went skipping through, but it's gone now. So it
might skip back. Who knows? It might be just
come
going
back.
around and it's like.
Sometimes, yeah, we're old. There's so much between our ears that sometimes we just forget what's there.
I don't know what I would choose my name to be. I really don't. I don't know if I ever changed my name, what it would be. Because like right now, yeah, I have no idea I don't know what I would change it to be.
I like your name. There are some people that name kids strange names. I mean, we knew a guy whose last name was Giovanni and his first name was John. So really, Giovanni in Italian is John. So he was John.
Well,
or Giovanni. And then we had another family that he had two sons, and Jack is the nickname of John.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But he named one son Jack and the other son John. I think we talked about that. Who is it? The fighter that named all his kids after himself. Who was the boxer? I want to say George Foreman.
Oh, he did?
Almost all his kids are George, Georgina. Yes.
Now, okay, so now that would lend me to go, do you just like yourself? And did your wife not have an opinion at all?
Like, here's my brother. Here's my brother. Was it Ralph? And my other brother, Ralph.
Yes.
But no, so names are important. But we actually took our children's family name and incorporated them.
Okay.
Into their names. I don't think they even cared about it. It was like, really? Yeah, you got a name within a name, so live with it. But get proud of you. So that's kind of cool. Names are kind of.
Yeah, because they do, because my name now is associated with being bad. It's like when when they said, so you're being a Karen.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Karens are not.
So like you're being blonde?
No, Karens are whiny. I think these people that are constantly causing like some kind of trouble now and stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, Karen, sit down. I'm like, I'm the original Karen.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Being a Karen is not associated very well now. So, but. And at one point, I wanted to be called, because some people see, because Chapel is actually called his middle name. Right,
it is.
And,
it is. Mm-hmm.
And you have to be careful with that. But I mean, it just suited him so much better.
He is a Chapel. He is. We can go off about just at soccer we've got two Chapel. I don't know how old Chapel is, but
Chapel's 35.
Okay, so then the other young man that's on the soccer, right? So they're close in age. Personalities, I think, completely different.
Probably, yeah, I would think so.
One is more emotional. Chapel is more analytical, laid back, And yet both of these young men, we all work together. Understand that's the association with them is because we work together. They will invariably send text messages to me. And her son and I was like, we think a lot alike. So that's one. And then the other one, I was like, oh, we're not here. We're here. And then he sends me videos and pictures of where
they know how much you love soccer.
And they do. And that's
and then it is, like you said, to me, that is it's a credit to who you are, that they feel like
they can do that.
And they want to do that.
And they do that. And then of course I say, oh, let's have a chartered bus trip.
Yes.
To North Carolina and watch That would be so cute to bring a nice fundraiser, and we don't have to drive.
Hmm.
That would be super cool.
And everybody going together. It would just be a fun trip.
A
Sometimes it's fun to go.
trip to do that,
Mhm.
right? And then, of course, off the soccer field comes the two young referees.
That she
And they did a superb job.
you
And
coached them, correct?
they were on my,
Mhm.
they were on my team. And they start, chatting to me about this and that and telling me they sent us to the wrong place. And there's that connection. I mean, they're probably 20, 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like 50 some years older.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there's a connection because my brain's not quite 20 yet. It was just 12. It was 12 for many years, but I thought maybe I had to upgrade it to about 20 or 21. And that's how we.
Well, yeah, and you do. You've got a really good rapport with people and stuff, and that is another. I mean, that's why I said
It's a gift from God.
I don't know what your name would be.
Yeah, I don't think it would be, like, hey, you.
Well, this is what a Karen is. It says Karen is a pejorative term used as slang typically for a middle-class white woman who is perceived as entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is normal. And the term is often portrayed in memes and depicting middle-class white women who use their white and class privilege to demand their own way. So so Karen now is not associated with being good. And I'm like,
You should look up Joanne. See what I do.
well, nobody says there's a Joanne.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and you're
I
not
have
being
no
a
meaning.
Joanne, but I think one
Go
day,
sit in the corner.
this one lady was named Karen, and she was caught ranting a couple of
Oh,
years
and
ago.
so now
And
she's
so
got
now
the moniker, huh?
everything- She's got the moniker and every Karen associated with them.
So she's replaced the blonde woman syndrome. Oh, you're being blonde, right?
Oh, well, I'm not entitled. I don't feel like I'm entitled.
If you were, you probably wouldn't be sitting here as Soot with me as Ash, right?
Probably wouldn't be in Southside Virginia.
Probably not.
I mean, entitled people don't really need to be.
No.
But yeah, it's just interesting to me. I mean, about names and stuff, and and like I said, going back to when I was born. I mean, if my dad named me Cubby and my mom went along with it because they couldn't think of a name. For 9 months, they couldn't think of a name for their child. I mean,
you don't want me to go there either.
Who does that? So then they just
picked
up. It's like, oh, okay. And then it's probably the first two people they saw was my two cousins. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, let's name them. So she took the two middle names of those girls, and I'm like,
well,
what in the world?
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, so you were desperate to write it. I mean, and no offense, my cousins, but still, you were desperate
you
enough.
couldn't come up
Or
with one
was
of
it
your own.
truly an honor because she just, I don't know. But I mean, yeah. So I mean, naming is.
I just renamed my one grandson. I told you that this morning.
Yeah.
I just told my daughter I'm just renaming him. I'm calling him Angelo.
Well, my husband, he never really calls people by their name. Once he meets them, something just triggers, and he's like, he'll call them different. I mean, sometimes he calls them a nickname that he thinks of, or he's just that way. But his dad did the same thing.
I used to do that with students. There'd be a student that either looked like a George, and you were always a George,
I know,
or
right?
a Ralph. And they look at me and say, I'm sorry, but you look like George, so you're just going to be George.
Exactly. And my husband, he'll just, something will trigger and he'll be like, okay. And I'm like, and some people take offense to it, but it's like, don't take offense,
No, I mean, and then the kids would look at me like, really? I said, I'm sorry. You just look like that to me. So there's no offense, but.
Well, my grandkids asked the other day, one of my grandkids, he was like, why does he call you honey? And I started to say, because he doesn't remember my name. All right. I think it's a good one to end on. Don't you?
Our names are very easy. Ash and Soot.
Cubby, K-Bell. I mean, my grandparents didn't even call me right. My dad's, they'd be like, hey, girl.
Well, my
Carl.
father, I don't think ever knew who of all, because he would go through everybody's names.
Well, moms usually do
He
that if you got a lot of
goes,
kids,
Clara,
right?
Marianne, Joanne. I'm like, you forgot the bird, Penny. Just sort of answer to all of that. Anyway,
What's in a name, right?
I don't know, but we're buddies.
We are. All right, take care.
He